Card 3, see the many sides of yourselves, plural. Know that there are always blind spots, parts of ourselves we cannot see. Summon the courage to see them. Most human beings are a host of subpersonalities, each of which calls themselves I when they take over, though they may have quite different agendas and modus operandi. The process of self-unification usually involves the creation of a central witness self that observes the subpersonalities and is aware of their comings and goings and how they vie for control. The voices in your head are of various kinds. Some are nagging, fearful, needy, strident, insistent, arrogant, filled with self-hate, and so forth. The voice of the self, and this is what Jung called the self, which you define as the totality of all the psychic structures, however, is calm, clear, and compassionate. But we may have trouble hearing that calm, quiet voice from the depths when the clamor of competing subpersonalities dominates our inner space. So that's kind of the short version, but here's some more. We tend to think of ourselves as a single cohesive personality and expect the other to be a single cohesive personality as well. But a single human being can support many personalities. A dramatic example is multiple personality disorder. That term is now considered outdated, but an even worse term has replaced it, DID, for dissociative identity disorder. And these are quite rare conditions. But the familiar example, which is anything but rare, is how different we or the other can think, feel, or act based on different moods. A human being is almost always an aggregate of subpersonalities, and each of these personalities calls themselves I when they take over. One of the principal goals of individuation is to build up a central witness personality that is aware of the subpersonalities, communicates and empathizes with all of them, but doesn't allow them to rule unnoticed. A powerful way to build up the witness and reduce fragmentation is to listen tentatively to the various voices in your head. Silent meditation is one way to sharpen awareness of the inner voices, like when you find that you can't stop them. But ongoing observation of the revolving cast of inner voices and subpersonalities is even more effective. Throughout the day, there is an almost continual soundtrack, at least in most of us, a voiceover monologue, to use a movie analogy, and the voiceover is usually in your native language, of course. If you're honest with yourself, you'll notice that a single personality does not control the voiceover monologue. Listen to both the content of what the inner voices say and their tone. I might, for example, hear a needy, childish voice in my head. Maybe I'm walking by an ice cream shop that says, "I want that." Another voice that sounds like an anxious and irritated parent says, "You know you're not supposed to have that." Another voice sounds like a gruff pirate and says, "What the hell, just grab it. Just grab for it." Still another voice has a wheedling tone and says, "I really shouldn't, but just this once. Starting tomorrow, I won't ever again," and so forth. Different drives within us can personify into inner characters that become the voices of those drives. One of the essential purposes of an oracle is to act as a mirror of the psyche and confront the inquirer with various aspects of themselves. It takes moral courage to face the multiplicity of selves operating within us. Depending on the position of this card, it could mean this is an auspicious time to strengthen your central witness personality, and or a need to be more aware of the many sides of others. A good rule of thumb with relationships is to realize that if you don't know someone's shadow, you don't know the person. Idealization is a state of dangerous blindness that purposefully overlooks various subpersonalities in the other to form a unified but false picture of them. For example, a romantically infatuated person thinks of the beloved as an angel, just as a guru-worshipping person thinks of the guru as a god. Such idealizations will likely become equal and opposite states of bitter disillusionment, as they inevitably discover that the idol has feet of clay. Be wary about listening to or becoming inner voices that are not calm and compassionate. Also, be wary about listening to outer voices that are never calm and compassionate. The same holds interpersonally. You may have to listen to voices that are nagging, anxious, wheedling, self-pitying, angry, and so forth, but listen to them with calm, compassionate understanding. The empathy may gain you influence over the subpersonality or the outer person, and it will certainly limit how much those uncentered voices can influence you. Thomas Jefferson said the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. The real freedom is free will, which I think is a real thing, but rarer than we would like to suppose. And that free will requires eternal vigilance with our inner process. To follow up, I recommend the books In Search of the Miraculous and The Fourth Way by P.D. Ouspensky. These are books about the teachings of the great consciousness pioneer, Gurdjieff. And then on this website, A Guide to the Perplexed Interdimensional Traveler, linked up at the bottom of this card.